Good morning, friends. It's Carrie from Conversations at Carrie's Corner on this Tuesday, Thanksgiving week 2024. Can you believe we're already here? I can't. I don't even know where the year has gone. It's been a really rough year. I think we all feel a little beat up. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you today at Conversations at Carrie's Corner today is about this feeling that so many of us are feeling tired, beat up, maybe a little depressed. Discouraged is a really good word that comes to mind. And it seems to be a pretty chronic problem. I think a lot of it has to do with our financial stress here in America. I think a lot of it, because of that financial stress, it feeds into other areas. If you're a small business owner like I am, the stress levels are immense, and you are trying to keep your head above water and stay where you are instead of slowly but surely going backward. Families are under a lot of stress. And then the holidays show up, and that adds more stress. And that's what I really want to talk today about. The stresses that we deal with in our societies from the holidays. And the stresses are not something that we intentionally impose upon ourselves, but it is something that we do create, and the decisions that we make do add stress. Travel expenses, trying to get home for the holidays, whether it be Christmas or Thanksgiving, and they're so close together that it's very hard to get over one when you get right into the next one. We are less than a month away today from Christmas, and we haven't even had Thanksgiving yet, and that's normally we have a little bit more time between the two. Not only do we have that going on, but then we have a complete and total transition in our nation with a new government that is it's peaceful, but it's not peaceful. It creates terrible stress for the average American. You just combine all those things together, and is it really it's so obvious why we're all struggling. If you're not struggling, congratulations, then you really are doing phenomenal. Everybody that I've talked to in the last 10 days in some fashion is struggling. It is just a challenging time. And as we head into the holidays, those pressures and those stresses have a tendency to get worse because the holidays are stressful. Let's just be real. Let's call it what it is. It's a stressful time. It's stressful because we want to spend time with our families. It's stressful because we've got to get time off of work. It's stressful because our businesses, unless you're in the retail side of things, have a tendency to slow down for 6 weeks. So you've got to go into that time period with momentum to get you through the 6 weeks. The financial stresses that we put on ourselves because of the holidays, travel, Christmas, additional food expenses, just it is a meeting of a perfect storm. And when you're under stress to begin with and you get to this time of year, man, it's tough. I today am struggling with a sense of letdown. I got some news yesterday that really hit me from the left, came out of nowhere. I'm very disappointed. I feel betrayed. And when that comes from a place that you are not expecting it, it is really hard to understand it, to get your head around it, to rationalize it, to talk through it. I'm a very analytical person, so I look at things from 19 different views to try to get a good sense of why. And when I get to the end of that evaluation, the why is completely out of my control, and that is beyond frustrating. If it was something that I could tangibly say, oh, this is my fault, I would have a better understanding of it and I could cope with it better because I could accept the responsibility that it's my fault. But when it is completely and totally out of my control, and I have done everything within my control mechanisms to ensure that this doesn't happen, and it happens, it's like just getting a spoon and scooping in positivity and forward momentum and just flushing it down the sink. Not to mention what it does financially. So I'm really struggling. I feel like I'm a very strong person most of the time, but this year has taken a toll like I have really never struggled with before. And my message today is, regardless of the kinds of struggles that you're dealing with, remember there's always help available in some way or form, whether it be a loved one, a partner, family, friends, work environment, support mechanisms, outside help mechanisms. Don't be afraid to ask for the help. I'm the world's worst at asking for help. I hate it because in my mind it shows weakness, and I don't like that. But you get to the point, every human gets to the point where they have hit the wall and they just cannot accept another defeat, another disaster, another trauma. And you get to the point where you just you've got to go and you've got to talk through it. And that's where I am. And then this happened yesterday, and I'm really struggling. I am really struggling to analytically figure this out. How could I have prevented? And the frustrating thing for me after hours of contemplation is there is nothing I could have done yesterday or today that would have prevented the decision, and that makes me mad. I am a control freak, and I always have another option, and I didn't. And that makes me really mad. Really mad as a business owner, as an individual. And I'm just one of millions that go through this and are going through this. So how do we pick ourselves up every day and fight the good fight? That's the question. How do we do that? How do we say to ourselves, okay, yeah, it's a setback. Yeah, it's going to hurt. Yeah, it's going to affect this or it's going to affect that. Do you just pull your bootstraps up and say to yourself, okay, come on, pull yourself out of it. It is what it is. You did everything you could possibly do. You couldn't have done anything differently, so why are you beating yourselves up? I don't have the answer for that. Trust me, I wish I did. I think we just have to get others that are outside looking in that can help us. They can help us analyze it and tear it apart and look for any fracture or crack where we might have done something differently. And if at the end of the day you get through that and that destruction of those decisions and that event, and if at the end of the day it really was out of your control, my question to you is, how do you cope with that? I don't cope with that very well. I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't. How do you do it? How do you cope with those situations where it is completely out of your control, but it does affect you? It affects your bottom line. It affects your finances and your psyche and your overall positive attitude. It's tough, especially when it comes so out of the blue. So out of the blue. I feel like somebody has completely taken away my ability to breathe this morning, because I would have never in my wildest dreams thought I would be dealing with this today. At the worst time of the year too, as we head into this crazy holiday season. I do feel like too the holidays are too commercialized. We've lost the true meaning of what it is all about, religiously and from a family perspective. It shouldn't be about what we buy for each other. It should be about the real meaning of what the holiday is, whichever one you practice in. And we've lost that. Rush, 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 get this, get that, buy this, buy that, dinner here, this, make sure the house is perfect, make sure the house is clean, we've got company coming in. I mean, it's just this crazy mass storm. And it's no wonder that when we get through the holidays, we are all absolutely spent. And then we have to, again, pull up our bootstraps and start a brand new year and try to start it positively with positive momentum. It's hard. It is really hard. So I think the answer is we as human beings sometimes get to the point in our lives where we just got to reach out. We need outside eyes looking in that can objectively analyze the situation and say, okay, yes, you're right, but oh no, you're not right here. And you've got to get past this, and give you some positive reinforcement that whatever your circumstance is that it's out of your control, or maybe it is in your control, and here are the steps that you need to get it back under control so you can move past it and be productive. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm a small business owner, and this for me has been the hardest 2 years of my 43-year career. That's really hard. It's really hard to find positivities where it seems like every day something negative happens. And even with all your effort, passion, and determination, at the end of the day, it's out of your control. That's hard for somebody that's a control freak. Are you? There's a lot of us out there. I really hope that this message today is for you is one of knowing that there's other people out there that are struggling. I'm struggling. So many of my loved ones and friends and acquaintances are struggling. We are all struggling in one way or another. And it's okay to say you are struggling. It's okay to articulate that times are tough, and that it's okay to say, okay, I need some independent evaluation of what's going on. I need some outside help. Because we really do live in a world that has changed dramatically in 10 years. Dramatically. I look back to my 40s and I think, if we could only have that simplistic life back again. We don't get that though, do we? We have to figure out how to deal with the life we have today. And it's a challenge. It's not easy. It's not easy on any platform. It's not easy in your personal life, in your career life, in your family life, in your relationship life. So just know there's others out there that are struggling, and it's okay to talk about it. Find somebody that you can talk about it with. Open up and try to figure out some solutions so you can deal with it and move on and try to stay positively moving in the right direction for you. It's not easy, though. I'm here to tell you it's not easy, and I'm a pretty strong person, but I even have to admit these last 2 years have been probably the hardest 2 years of my life. And I'm not ashamed to say that. And I know there's a lot of people that would agree with that. So keep moving forward. Go find some help. Go talk to somebody. Work through it. Don't beat yourself up. I do that a lot, and I shouldn't. But I'm a control freak, and so I know ultimately if I'm not controlling it, who is? And that's really not the right way to think about it, but it is the way I think about it. Try to enjoy your holiday season. Try to enjoy the time with your family, because that is the most important thing. Spending time with your loved ones is by far the most important decision that we can make in our lives, because life is short, and you will wake up one day and realize that person is gone and you can never get them back. Don't have regrets. Make sure you're communicating how much those people in your life mean to you, because once they're gone, they're gone. And that in and of itself is another whole subject, and it's very difficult. So I hope you just realize from this message that there's others out there. We're all struggling. We all have our own challenges and devices and issues. And it's okay to say that I'm struggling and that I need some help, and go get it. Don't let all of this pile on top of you to the point where you can't get it back under control, because then that really will lead into some bad situations, and none of us want that, especially at this time of year. I hope you have a splendid, splendid, splendid Thanksgiving wherever you are. Spend time with your loved ones. Be safe traveling. Always make sure you're paying attention to your surroundings, because you just never know, and you can't take anything for granted or anyone for granted anymore. Be safe. Have a joyous time with your families, and stop and think about all the blessings that you do have in your life. That's the one way I try to put myself back in check, is remember all the wonderful things that I do have in my life, and the blessings are amazing. This is Carrie from Conversations at Carrie's Corner, where it's all about talking about things, getting us back to the middle so we can start change in our society, start to communicate with each other intelligently, rationally, calmly, and talk about our issues. Because when we talk about our issues, that's when real change starts. And I hope Conversations at Carrie's Corner is a place where we can continue to do that. And I do want to hear from you. If you have suggestions, please let me know. Hopefully we'll be getting into a more interactive format come the first of the year. I'm working diligently on that, so we can have call-ins, so we can have guests, and I'm really looking forward to that. Talking about issues is where we've got to get, so we can get our country united again, because a divided nation can never stand. History has proved that. And we just have to learn to talk to each other and respect each other's points of view. You never know. It could change. You could walk into a relationship like walking into a diner, sitting down at the bar, having a coffee and a slice of pie, sitting next to somebody you don't know, and walking out of that diner with a new friend or a new position on a subject that you thought you would never change your mind on. That's where we got to get. Back to that era of walking into these beautiful diners and having conversations with each other. If we do that, we can start to facilitate real change by talking to each other. This is Carrie at Conversations at Carrie's Corner. Many blessings. Happy Thanksgiving this week, and we will see you in our next podcast. God bless everyone. and God bless the USA.